Let's start with a simple question. What exactly is financial anxiety? It's not just being bad with money. It's not about having no savings or living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not always linked to how much you earn. Financial anxiety is a deeper emotional response. It's the feeling of tension, fear, or shame whenever money comes up, even if you're not in immediate crisis. It can show up when you check your bank balance, get a bill, open a budgeting app, or even hear the word finance. And here's the tricky part. It doesn't always make sense logically. You can earn well, have a stable life, and still feel panic when money enters the conversation. That's because financial anxiety is often not about numbers. It's about what those numbers represent: safety, control, identity, success, failure. Some people feel guilty when they spend. Others feel panic when they try to save. Some avoid looking at their accounts altogether. And all of that comes from somewhere. This isn't just stress. It's not just pressure. It's a learned emotional response, shaped over years through family dynamics, social norms, and personal experiences. And it's more common than you think. Financial anxiety is often quiet. It hides behind jokes, avoidance, "I just don't care about money" attitudes. But beneath that is discomfort, fear of looking, fear of not knowing, fear of never being good enough at money. You're not imagining it. You're not being dramatic. It's real. And it has a name. Now that we've named it, let's talk about where it comes from and why you probably didn't even notice it being taught to you. No one is born with financial anxiety. You didn't come into the world afraid to check a price tag or ashamed to talk about money. That response was taught, over time, and usually without words. We learn about money the same way we learn everything else in childhood, by watching, listening, absorbing. And when it comes to money, most of what we absorb is fear, scarcity, or silence. Think about the messages you might have picked up growing up. We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Don't talk about money. It's rude. People with money are greedy. We're just not the kind of people who have savings. Even if no one sat you down to explain how to feel about money, the emotional tone was set early. Maybe money was a source of arguments in your home. Maybe it was avoided completely. Maybe you watched your parents struggle, or you saw one parent hide spending from the other. All of that builds your internal script, not consciously, but deeply. So when you grow up, that script plays out. You hesitate before spending. You feel guilt when you save too much. You avoid budgeting because it feels heavy or hopeless. And that reaction didn't start with you. You inherited it. Understanding this matters because it breaks the illusion that your financial anxiety is just a personal flaw. It's not. It's a pattern. And patterns can be observed, interrupted, and changed. Let's look next at how this anxiety shows up in everyday life, often in ways you don't even notice. Financial anxiety doesn't just appear during big life events. It's in the small, daily moments, the ones you barely register. You feel a little tight in your chest when you tap your card and hope it goes through. You hesitate before opening an email from your bank. You delay checking your balance after a weekend out. You avoid looking at your budgeting app, even though you downloaded it for a reason. These are micro-triggers, subtle signals that your nervous system now associates with discomfort, shame, or fear. And they build up. Maybe you tell yourself you're just busy or tired or that you'll figure it out later. But in reality, part of you is protecting yourself from the emotional discomfort of money. Even seemingly neutral things can feel triggering. A friend casually talking about investing. Someone asking what you earn. A bill arriving earlier than expected. Seeing someone pay effortlessly while you mentally calculate everything, the anxiety doesn't scream. It whispers. It creates tension in your body. It pulls you into avoidance. And the worst part? You probably think this is normal. You're so used to bracing around money that you barely notice you're doing it. But noticing is step one. Because once you become aware of the pattern, the moment you can say, "This feeling isn't random, it's a response." You create space. Space to pause. Space to question. Space to respond differently. Next, we'll explore one of the most common and misunderstood responses to financial anxiety, avoiding the numbers completely, even when you know you need to look. You know, budgeting is important. You've probably tried, more than once. And yet, something about it feels hard, heavy, sometimes even unsafe. That's not laziness. It's not lack of discipline. It's anxiety. When you sit down to make a budget, what you're really doing is facing reality. You're looking directly at what's coming in, what's going out, and what's missing. And for someone with financial anxiety, that level of clarity can feel threatening. Why? Because your brain has learned to treat money as a danger zone. Not always logically, but emotionally. You might feel shame when you see how much you spent. You might fear what the numbers say about you. You might panic when you realize things are tighter than you thought. So instead of making a budget, you put it off. You convince yourself you'll do it when things calm down, or when you make more, or when you're in the right headspace. But that moment never comes, because the fear doesn't leave on its own. And the longer you avoid, the more the fear grows. Budgeting feels unsafe because it asks you to stop pretending everything's fine. And that's a hard ask when you've spent years managing stress by not looking. But here's the truth. The numbers are already what they are, whether you face them or not. Avoiding them doesn't protect you. It only delays clarity. And clarity is the first step toward peace. Next, we'll look at what happens when avoidance becomes a cycle, and how it quietly keeps you stuck. Financial anxiety doesn't just make you uncomfortable, it creates a loop. And once you're in it, it's hard to get out. Here's how it works. You feel anxious about money. You avoid looking at your accounts, bills, or plans. That avoidance causes you to miss something, overspend, or feel out of control. Then your anxiety increases, so you avoid even more. This is the avoidance loop, and it feeds itself. The longer you stay in it, the more power the fear has, and the less information you have to change anything. It starts small. Skipping a bank notification, ignoring an uncomfortable thought about your spending, convincing yourself that you'll fix it later. But the loop strengthens with every repetition. The irony? You think you're protecting yourself from discomfort, but what you're really doing is extending it. You're prolonging the tension, the fear, the unknown. Because even though you're not looking, the problem is still there, and your body knows it. So how do you break the loop? Not by forcing yourself into overwhelm, not by building a massive financial system overnight. You break the loop by interrupting it, gently, by looking at one thing at a time, by choosing to check your balance once a day without judgment, by writing down one expense, not 50, one. Awareness is the crack in the loop, and once that crack appears, light gets in. Next, we'll talk about how to build a healthier pattern. Not through control, but through small, repeatable actions that create a different kind of relationship with money. You don't have to fight your financial anxiety with force. You don't need a 10-step system, a new app, or a perfect plan. What you need is a gentle, consistent shift, one that builds safety and trust inside you. Because this isn't just about numbers, it's about how your nervous system reacts to those numbers. So here's where we begin. Step 1. Name the feeling. When you feel resistance, don't fight it. Say it. This is financial anxiety. Naming it creates space between you and the reaction. Step 2. Choose one tiny point of contact. Don't build a full budget. Don't track everything. Just pick one thing. Look at your balance once a day. Write down one expense. Review one bill. That's enough. Step 3. Create neutral rituals. Make your money time feel calm. Put on music. Make tea. Sit somewhere comfortable. This tells your brain, this is not a threat. Step 4. Reflect without judgment. If you overspent, observe it. Don't punish it. Write one sentence. I spent $40 on delivery because I was tired. That's not failure. That's data. Step 5. Repeat. Slowly. Rewiring your response to money takes time. But every time you look, calmly, kindly, you build a new connection. You're not trying to control your finances through fear. You're trying to rebuild safety through awareness. And that shift is powerful. In the final chapter, we'll zoom out and talk about what this journey is really about. Not fixing yourself, but unlearning what was never yours to carry in the first place. Let's end with this. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not bad with money. You were conditioned. Conditioned by experiences you didn't choose. By messages you heard before you could question them. By systems that made money feel like something scary, shameful, or out of reach. You were taught, directly or indirectly, that money means survival, identity, success, status, danger, guilt, pride. That's heavy. And when something carries that much weight, it's no wonder your body reacts. Of course you feel anxious. Of course you avoid. Of course you freeze when you try to get it together. But none of that means you're incapable. It means you're human and wired for protection. The good news? Conditioning can be undone. Not through force, not through perfection, but through small, conscious, repeatable shifts. Each time you look at your money without panic, you're breaking the pattern. Each time you pause instead of spiraling, you're writing a new response. Each time you treat yourself with patience instead of blame, you're healing. You don't need to become a financial expert. You don't need to do it all this week. You just need to keep showing up, calmly, clearly, consistently. Financial clarity isn't just about numbers, it's about trust. And building trust with yourself takes time, but it's always worth it. Thanks for being here. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and take the next step when you're ready. You're already doing more than you think. If this video made something click for you, consider subscribing. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one, and leave a comment. Even just a thanks or your own story. I read everything.